Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Because if you're Sean Diddy Combs right now, baby, you are probably pacing that tiny jail cell, punching the air, and wondering how everything went so wrong so fast. The man who once ruled the industry with a champagne glass in one hand and a diamond watch in the other is now begging for help. And word is, his team just got hit with a brutal reality check. Sources close to the situation say Diddy's inner circle told him point blank, "You're too broke for a pardon." Yeah, you heard that right. Broke. Not in assets. Diddy still has mansions, cars, and flashy memories of the good life. But when it comes to liquid cash, the kind that makes things move in Washington, he's dry. And that's exactly what's standing between him and the one thing he wants most: freedom. Now, let's get into this because this story is one of the wildest, messiest, most twisted sagas in the ongoing Diddy saga, the Trump pardon situation. And baby, the way it's playing out? Phew. It's giving desperation, humiliation, and a little sprinkle of karmic payback. So, when we last checked in with the bad boy himself, he was sitting behind bars, debating what to do next. The man was literally weighing his last options. Should he spend the rest of his remaining fortune fighting his legal cases in appeal court, or should he throw every last cent into buying a presidential pardon? Imagine the kind of stress that brings. All those years of power, fame, money, private jets, all gone, and now it's down to counting coins to see if you can buy your way out of a federal cell. Now, before you say, "Come on, Diddy got money," let's talk facts. Diddy has assets, not cash. There's a big difference. Mansions, cars, private art, luxury watches, even his famous properties. Sure, they all sound expensive on paper. But cash, that's the thing he doesn't have much of. You need cash to make things happen fast. And baby, when you're begging for a pardon, there's no layaway plan. You can't just hand over the deed to your Star Island mansion and expect someone like Trump to take it as collateral. Nah, this isn't Monopoly. These are real political players, and what they want is money. Liquid, move it right now, hush money type of cash. But you can't sell a $40 million mansion overnight. You can't flip a $1 million car fleet or jewelry collection instantly. Even in a hot market, houses sit for months, sometimes years. And right now, while Diddy's stuff might sparkle on Instagram, the truth is that most of it is sitting on the market collecting dust. Meanwhile, the people he's trying to pay, those with the so-called connections to Trump's world, they don't take IOUs. They don't want promises. They don't even want property. They want guilt money, cold hard wire transfers straight up. That's the only language power speaks. And right now, Diddy doesn't speak it fluently anymore. And get this, word on the street is Diddy's team is scrambling like never before. They're calling everyone from old investors to former allies, trying to piece together enough to make something happen. Because Diddy apparently got word that made him lose it. The slap in the face, as insiders put it. You see, while he was in jail praying for a pardon, Donald Trump just handed one out. Not to him, oh no, but to someone else. Someone with major financial pull. Trump pardoned Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance, the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange. Yep, that Binance. The same exchange that was caught up in legal issues a couple years ago. Zhao got a pardon after reportedly boosting the Trump family's own crypto ventures. Now imagine you're Diddy, sitting in your cell, waiting for your call from the White House, thinking your big moment's coming. The rumors were flying. He'll be out by Wednesday, maybe by the weekend. And then boom, Trump pardons a crypto billionaire instead. You don't think that stung? Oh, it did. Because in Diddy's mind, he really thought he was next. He thought all his influence, fame, and connections would pull him through. He really believed he was still a heavyweight in this political chess game. But Trump just reminded him of something brutal. Money talks louder than celebrity. Trump doesn't want your record deals. He doesn't want your mansions. He doesn't want your jewelry. He wants what Zhao gave him: strategic, long-term financial power. Binance didn't just drop cash. They boosted Trump's own projects, greased the right hands, and strengthened Trump's influence in the financial world. That's the kind of deal Diddy can't compete with anymore. And sources close to Trump's orbit are whispering that the message from the former president's camp was clear. Diddy, come back when you can afford the price of power. Some even say Trump's people are intentionally giving him time. Time to liquidate every last thing he owns. Because if Trump's going to pardon him, he wants Diddy desperate. Completely stripped down. No backup plan, no hidden stash, no plan B. See, this is exactly how Trump plays. He doesn't just make deals, he dominates them. He likes control. So according to insiders, Trump wants Diddy at rock bottom first. That way, he knows once that pardon drops, Diddy can't turn around and play smart. He'll owe Trump everything. It's classic power politics, and Diddy, who once prided himself on outsmarting the industry, is learning the hard way that in this game, he's not the player anymore. He's the pawn. Now, let's go back to this Binance story for a second, because it's bigger than people realize. The Wall Street Journal reported that Zhao's pardon came after months of quiet lobbying and strategic moves behind the scenes. Binance had already pleaded guilty to U.S. anti-money laundering violations back in 2023 and was banned from operating in the States. Zhao even served a short prison sentence, just 4 months. But Binance never stopped working on that comeback plan. They spent millions hiring the right lobbyists like Chess McDowell, who's known to move mountains in D.C. for the right price. Now think about that. Binance played the long game. They didn't cry in public. They didn't beg on social media. They paid strategically. They played the Washington game the way it's meant to be played. And that's exactly what Diddy can't do. Because Diddy, for all his talk, doesn't have that kind of cash. He's billionaire on paper rich. The kind of rich that looks amazing in a Forbes article, but doesn't translate into liquid funds. And those lobbyists? They don't even pick up the phone for less than $10 million. That's just the fee to start. You still need to pay for favors, access, and hush money. And those prices climb high fast. So, while Binance and Zhao were throwing billion-dollar moves, Diddy was still trying to figure out how to sell a mansion no one wants to buy. That's not even the same league. So what's next for Diddy? What can he possibly offer Trump that's not money? Some people close to the situation think Diddy's trying to offer influence instead, the kind of social and cultural sway that he used to command. Remember his old vote or die campaign? The voter drives? The community image he used to build up? Rumor is, his team put together a video package showing all the ways Diddy has helped the Black and brown communities. A highlight reel meant to paint him as a valuable voice that could swing certain voters. Apparently, that same video, which some say was shown in court to try and humanize him, was also sent quietly to the White House. A look what I can do for you kind of pitch. But here's the problem. That version of Diddy doesn't exist anymore. His reputation is shattered. The public backlash is massive. And the people he's counting on to vouch for him? They're running for cover. Trump doesn't need Diddy for influence. He already has rappers like Lil Wayne and 50 Cent publicly supporting him. He's got clout with older hip-hop fans, and he's making moves to attract Gen Z through social media and influencer networks. So really, what can Diddy bring to the table now? That's the million-dollar question, or maybe the billion-dollar one. Because if Diddy can't offer money, and he can't offer political leverage, then what's left? At this point, it's looking like the only thing he can offer is complete submission, total loyalty. And if the rumors are true, that Trump's team wants him to sell everything and come back empty-handed, then this could be one of the darkest bargains we've seen in a long time. All that power, all that image, all that bravado, now reduced to a man waiting in jail, praying his mansion sells fast enough to buy a second chance. But the game isn't over yet, because behind the scenes, Diddy's team is still trying to pull every string, calling every billionaire friend they can think of. Ron Burkle, the billionaire godfather to some of Diddy's kids, he's on that list. Even names like Bill Clinton and high-profile Democrats have been whispered as potential lifelines. The question is, will anyone answer? Or has the name Diddy become too toxic to touch? Either way, part 2 is where things get even wilder, because insiders say Trump's team might not just want Diddy's money. They might want his silence. Alright, so when we left off, Diddy was out here trying to scrape up coins to buy himself a pardon while Trump's circle was playing chess with billionaires. But y'all, the deeper we dig into this, the more it's looking like Trump's team doesn't just want Diddy's money. They want control. They want him broken, quiet, and desperate enough to never bite the hand that feeds him again. Because baby, when Trump plays, he plays to own people, not just to help them. Now let's talk about what's really going on behind those closed doors, because sources close to both camps say that this whole pardon talk isn't about justice, politics, or forgiveness. It's about leverage. It's about power. The Trump machine knows Diddy is desperate, and desperation makes people easy to handle. Diddy's team has reportedly been told, "You want help? Fine. But you don't just get a pardon. You pay for silence. You pay to disappear." That's right. People are whispering that if Trump ever does decide to give Diddy that signature on the dotted line, it'll come with invisible strings attached. Strings that might tie him up tighter than any legal case ever could. But let's rewind for a second and understand how we even got here. See, Diddy's fall from grace didn't just happen overnight. For years, his name carried weight. He was the self-made mogul, the king of bad boy entertainment, the man who turned street hustle into generational wealth. But the moment those allegations, lawsuits, and criminal charges started piling up, his entire empire began to crumble. The brands dropped him, the investors ran, the artists distanced themselves, and the narrative flipped from business genius to Hollywood monster. So when word came out that he was chasing a presidential pardon, it shocked a lot of people. But to insiders, it made perfect sense. Because a pardon isn't just about clearing your name, it's about survival. And Diddy knows that once he's officially convicted or loses his remaining influence, there's no coming back. But here's the thing. The pardon he's chasing isn't a simple legal favor. It's a transaction. A big, ugly, messy, high-priced transaction where loyalty is currency and silence is mandatory. Now, Trump's circle, and let's be real, Trump himself, has been playing this game forever. Everyone around him knows his philosophy. I don't do favors. I do deals. And this deal, if it ever goes through, might be one of the dirtiest yet. See, people in Trump's orbit allegedly told Diddy's camp that they'd consider putting his name on the list only if he can liquidate everything. Everything. Not just his businesses or his properties, but even his leverage, meaning the secrets, the names, the receipts. The same stuff he's rumored to be holding over powerful people's heads? Yeah, they want that gone. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about silencing a man who, for decades, has been in every room, every club, every deal that could make or break someone's reputation. Diddy knows too much. And that's exactly why Trump's side wants him cornered before they ever lift a pen. Think about it. If Diddy's desperate, broke, and powerless, he can't hurt anyone. He can't expose anyone. He can't flip the narrative. That's what makes him useful. And that brings us to the billionaire betrayal part of the story. Because when Diddy reached out to his old friends, the people he helped, the ones who once called him brother, not a single one wanted to step in. Not one. We're talking about billionaires like Ron Burkle, who's godfather to Diddy's children, a man with deep pockets and even deeper political ties. When Diddy reached out, Burkle reportedly ghosted him. Others, like certain high-profile entertainment moguls and former partners, suddenly stopped answering calls. Why? Because aligning with Diddy now is like hugging a live grenade. Everyone knows he's radioactive. And no one wants to be the one who catches the fallout. Even some of the old political names, like the Clintons, who once welcomed Diddy into their fundraisers and social events, are keeping their distance. Insiders say Diddy thought his long-standing connections with Democratic power players might save him. Maybe a phone call, a quiet push behind the scenes. But not this time. Because politics isn't about friendship, it's about optics. And right now, helping Diddy looks bad for everyone. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. Some sources claim that Diddy's camp offered influence to Trump's team. Like, literally promised they could help him sway black and brown voters through a campaign or cultural effort. They supposedly highlighted Diddy's old vote or die influence, his role in mobilizing the youth back in the early 2000s, and his credibility in urban spaces. The problem? That influence doesn't exist anymore. Diddy isn't a respected voice in the community right now. He's a scandal magnet. Even if Trump wanted to use him for optics, it would backfire instantly. Social media would explode with outrage. And Trump, love him or hate him, doesn't like weak deals. So what can Diddy possibly bring to the table? Nothing, except the secrets he's been keeping for decades. That's the only real currency he has left. And the whispers are getting louder that certain political and entertainment figures want those secrets buried for good. That's why people believe this pardon talk isn't really about mercy. It's about control. It's about making sure that whatever Diddy knows, whatever evidence or stories he might still hold, never see the light of day. And here's the scariest part. Sources say Diddy's already been warned inside. Supposedly, there was a strange incident recently where he claimed he was attacked in his cell, that someone held a knife to his throat. Nobody knows if it really happened or if it was Diddy being dramatic again, but it sent a clear message. He's not as protected as he thinks he is. Now, officials haven't confirmed much, but there's speculation that the attack story might have been a warning, not from random inmates, but from people who want him to shut up. Remember, Diddy has connections to some very powerful figures in music, business, and politics. And when those types of people start feeling exposed, bad things happen to anyone who talks too much. So while he's sitting there in MDC, reportedly making desperate phone calls, writing letters, and trying to sell off whatever assets he can, the real game is happening around him. Because every day that passes without a pardon, his situation gets worse, not just legally, but mentally and financially. He's losing it all, and fast. Reports say he's been begging his billionaire friends for loans, offering stakes in his companies, even selling off luxury watches and cars at massive discounts. But guess what? Nobody's buying. Not because they don't want the items, but because they don't want the association. Being tied to Diddy right now is like branding yourself guilty by proximity. And Trump's circle knows this. They're watching him sink. They're letting him panic because the more desperate he becomes, the cheaper the deal gets. If he's truly running out of money, which insiders insist he is, then by the time he comes back to the table, he'll be willing to agree to anything. And that's exactly where they want him. Some political strategists even think Trump's team might be using Diddy as a pawn for leverage in other negotiations. Maybe even as a way to squeeze favors or funding from people scared of what Diddy could say. Remember, Trump's world runs on favors and alliances. If silencing Diddy helps someone else who's valuable to Trump, that's a win-win. Meanwhile, Diddy's sitting in that jail cell, probably thinking about all the people who used to call him family. All the hands he fed who won't even pick up his calls now. It's poetic in a dark way. The man who once said can't stop, won't stop, is now literally stopped, stuck, and watching his empire disintegrate piece by piece. And what makes it even more tragic is that the one thing Diddy's always relied on, his charm, his ability to talk his way out of anything, doesn't work here. You can't sweet-talk a federal system. You can't negotiate with prosecutors who've seen everything. And you definitely can't play Trump unless you've got something he actually wants. So right now, Diddy's trapped in a corner with no good moves left. His assets are frozen or undervalued, his network is collapsing, and his name has become synonymous with scandal. The only thing keeping him alive in the conversation is the hope of a pardon. A hope that, according to insiders, gets dimmer every day. And the cruel irony? The same arrogance that made Diddy so powerful in his prime is what's destroying him now. He still thinks he can outsmart everyone. He still thinks he's the main character in the story. But in this game, the game of billionaires, politics, and presidential power, he's just another expendable name. So as of now, Trump's message seems clear. Come back when you've sold it all. Come back when you've got something real to offer. But with Diddy's empire shrinking by the hour, the real question is, will he even have anything left by then? Because part 3, y'all, is where things take a darker turn. Word is there's talk of a backup plan, and it involves Diddy trying to use the last card he's got left, his secrets. Alright y'all, let's get into it, because if you thought Diddy's situation couldn't get any messier, baby, you haven't heard the half of it. Right now, sources are saying the man who once bragged about having friends in every room, from the boardroom to the White House, is running out of moves. He's broke, isolated, and surrounded by people who've either turned their backs or are secretly hoping he stays right where he is, behind bars. But here's the shocking twist. Diddy might still have one thing left, one last card to play. And if the whispers are true, it's not money, it's not influence, it's information. The kind of information that can change lives, ruin reputations, and possibly even shift power in Hollywood and politics. Now, before we get into the heavy stuff, let's talk about how Diddy got here, because this move, this last-ditch strategy, didn't come out of nowhere. See, when Diddy realized that the Trump pardon wasn't coming easy, that his team was being told to liquidate everything, he apparently started reaching out to some very interesting people. We're talking lawyers, journalists, and old allies who used to handle his PR back in the day. And the message was simple. If they don't help me, I won't go down alone. Let that sink in. According to insiders, Diddy allegedly started hinting that he's got receipts. Not the kind that prove his innocence. No, baby, the kind that prove everybody else's guilt. Word is he's got files, videos, financial documents, private messages, and stories that could make a lot of powerful people very, very uncomfortable. And if you've followed Diddy's career, you know he's always been a connector. He's hosted those elite parties where celebrities, politicians, and executives all mixed together. The kind of events where cameras weren't allowed, phones were confiscated, and what happened inside stayed inside. Except maybe it didn't. Now, multiple people who used to work in Diddy's orbit have come forward in the past saying they saw things. Things that would ruin reputations if they ever got out. And now, it sounds like Diddy might be considering using that very dirt as leverage. Because here's the reality, he's desperate. Trump's team has him on ice, the music industry has disowned him, and his own friends are avoiding him. He's sitting in MDC with nothing but time and paranoia, watching everyone else move on while he's still in orange. So what does a desperate man do when all his money and power vanish? He reaches for the only weapon left, the truth. The question is, what kind of truth does Diddy really have? People in his circle have hinted that Diddy kept everything. He was paranoid long before the walls started closing in. He allegedly kept backup drives, security footage, and personal logs of major industry players. Think of it like insurance. If you're too dangerous to expose, no one will touch you. That was the logic. And for years it worked. Everyone knew Diddy had reach. Everyone knew he had dirt. And that made him untouchable. But here's the issue. Now that he's behind bars and broke, that same insurance might become a bargaining chip. Some insiders say his team has already started floating quiet offers. The kind that sound like threats dressed up as negotiations. Things like, help me out and certain information won't see daylight. Others say he's trying to send messages from inside, letting people know he still has access to his vaults through loyal staff. Whether that's true or not, it's enough to scare a lot of people into silence. Now let's connect the dots with Trump's side. Remember how Trump's team reportedly told Diddy to liquidate everything before any pardon could be discussed? Well, what if it wasn't just about money? What if they meant everything, as in his leverage, his secrets, his connections, his power over others? Because one thing Trump's circle doesn't tolerate is unpredictability. And Diddy, in his current state, is a walking liability. Sources close to that world claim that before any consideration of a pardon, they'd want total control over whatever files Diddy might have. Meaning, if he does have evidence or compromising material, they want it gone. Burned, deleted, erased from existence. Think about that. Trump's people reportedly don't even want his friendship. They want his silence. Because silence in their world is more valuable than loyalty. But here's where it gets even darker. Allegedly, some of Diddy's associates, the ones who helped him manage those secret vaults of footage and information, have already disappeared from the spotlight. Some shut down social media, some moved overseas, and others just vanished. One former insider told a reporter that they were terrified of what happens next, because everyone knows too much. This is where Diddy's downfall starts to feel less like a celebrity scandal and more like a thriller. You've got billionaires, political figures, lobbyists, and one of the most infamous music moguls of all time, all tangled in a web that keeps getting tighter. And you can tell that Diddy feels the pressure. Remember that story about him saying someone attacked him in jail with a knife? At first, people thought it was just Diddy being dramatic, making up stories to get attention. But what if it wasn't fake? What if it was a warning? A way to remind him that even inside, he's not safe to talk. Because when powerful people start worrying that their names might come out, things get dangerous. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, can Diddy really pull this off? Can he actually threaten the same system he's begging for mercy from? The truth is probably not. But just the rumor that he's willing to talk is enough to make people nervous. And that's exactly what keeps him alive in this game. It's also why Trump's camp hasn't completely shut the door on the idea of a pardon. As messy as this is, Trump understands leverage better than anyone. He knows that having Diddy owe him could be useful later. Maybe not for votes, maybe not for optics, but for silence. Meanwhile, Diddy's lawyers are reportedly trying to juggle it all. The criminal cases, the financial disasters, the possible leaks. They're fighting on every front, and the money's drying up fast. That's why you're seeing reports about Diddy selling properties, unloading jewelry, and quietly trying to settle lawsuits he swore he'd fight. He's trying to make everything disappear before someone else decides to make him disappear. Now, here's something interesting. A few legal experts have pointed out that even if Diddy somehow did get a pardon, it wouldn't erase all his problems. It would only apply to federal charges. The civil cases, the state-level investigations, the potential new witnesses, those don't just vanish. Which makes this whole chase even more tragic, because even if Trump said yes tomorrow, Diddy would still be facing a mountain of fallout. But the man's desperate, and desperation makes people reckless. Rumor is he's even tried reaching out to old industry enemies, people he's fought with for years, offering partnerships, settlements, or alliances if they help him raise funds. But nobody's biting. He's officially toxic. And worse, he's unpredictable, the one thing no one wants in their orbit. So now, Diddy's sitting in his cell trying to figure out who's still loyal. Word is there's a small team left, mostly longtime assistants and a couple of family members, who are doing everything they can to hold things together. But even they're scared. Some reportedly don't know whether to keep helping or walk away before they get dragged down with him. And through all this, Trump's camp remains silent. Not a word. No comment. No reassurance. Nothing. Because they know the longer Diddy waits, the weaker he gets. And when he's weak enough, they'll name their price. So, as it stands, Diddy's in a dangerous spot, mentally, financially, and politically. He's holding on to the idea that he can talk his way out, but the walls are closing in. And every day that passes without that call from the White House feels like another nail in the coffin. But here's what makes part 3 end on a haunting note. Even though Diddy's down, even though he's nearly out of money, sources say he's still holding on to that secret card, that insurance he's been building for decades. Maybe it's a lie. Maybe it's real. But everyone in the industry knows one thing. If those files ever see daylight, they could shake the entertainment world to its core. So the real question now isn't whether Diddy will get his pardon, it's whether he'll stay quiet long enough to survive. Because if the whispers are true, part 4 takes us into the part of the story where powerful people start making sure Diddy never speaks again. Alright, buckle up, because this part is where things start to feel straight out of a movie. At this point, Diddy isn't just fighting for his freedom. He's fighting to stay alive, to stay relevant, and to keep whatever secrets he's holding from being erased forever. The game has changed. The music mogul who once controlled entire rooms with a phone call now has to look over his shoulder every single day, wondering which of his so-called friends might be working to make sure he never talks again. Now let's rewind a little. Right after part 3's chaos, when rumors spread that Diddy might expose some very powerful names, something strange started happening. People close to him began going quiet. Social media accounts vanished overnight. Lawyers who once proudly represented him started withdrawing from cases. Publicists stopped returning calls. And some insiders claimed Diddy's own bodyguards, the men who'd been with him for years, suddenly disappeared too. At first, fans thought it was just fallout from bad publicity. But others whispered something darker. That Diddy's silence was being managed. That someone somewhere had decided it was better, safer, if Diddy stayed quiet permanently. And here's the thing. If you look at the pattern of what's been happening, it's like every possible way Diddy could defend himself is being stripped away. The money's drying up, his properties are under federal review, his business partners are gone, and the people who owe him favors are pretending they never met him. It's almost surgical, like someone's dismantling his empire piece by piece. Now, remember, this man once had ties in every industry. Music, fashion, TV, politics, you name it. So for him to suddenly have nobody backing him, that's not an accident. That's strategy. And that's when word started to spread. Maybe Diddy wasn't just a fallen mogul. Maybe he'd become a liability. A ticking time bomb who knows too much, and whose silence might be worth more than his cooperation. Reports started surfacing about strange visitors at MDC, not fans, not family, but consultants. People who allegedly weren't part of his legal team, but had clearance to meet with him privately. Some claimed they were there to negotiate options. Others hinted they were there to deliver messages. Quiet warnings from the very people he'd once called friends. You have to understand how deep this web goes. If Diddy truly has those files, recordings, photos, transactions, whatever, then he's sitting on something that could link entertainment's elite to things far bigger than music. The kind of evidence that could shake companies, destroy reputations, and maybe even spark government interest. That's why some insiders say the mission now isn't just to keep Diddy locked up. It's to make sure he never gets the chance to leak anything. And here's where things get chilling. A few months back, a former associate who worked for one of Diddy's management companies went missing, just vanished. Family said they hadn't heard from him. Days later, his car was found abandoned near a bridge in Miami. No wallet, no phone, no trace. It never made national news, but industry circles buzzed with one question. Was he one of the people who knew too much? Now, I'm not saying anyone did anything illegal, but when you start connecting the dots, it's hard to ignore the pattern. Everyone with even a whisper of knowledge about those files either shuts up, disappears, or denies ever working for him. That's not coincidence. That's cleanup. Meanwhile, Diddy's own team seems to be losing faith. His lawyers are reportedly frustrated because every time they make progress, new evidence or sealed testimony comes out that sets him back. It's like the case keeps shifting under his feet, like someone's making sure he stays tangled up indefinitely. And that's where the theory of containment comes in. Some insiders believe that what's happening now is less about justice and more about control. They don't need Diddy gone, not yet, they just need him isolated, powerless, and watched. They want to know where he is, who he's talking to, and whether he's still holding those keys to the vault. Because if that vault really exists, then it's the one thing standing between him and total erasure. Now here's the twist. Some say Diddy saw this coming years ago. Back when he was still untouchable, there were rumors that he had distributed insurance. That means copies, digital backups sent to trusted people all over the world. So even if he's silenced, the information wouldn't die with him. And lately, there's been chatter that one of those backups might have resurfaced. A mysterious encrypted drive that allegedly popped up online, with no clear source, but containing files labeled under names that match old associates and project titles from Diddy's prime years. No one's confirmed it's real, but it's enough to make the internet buzz. Now think about what that means. If there really are backups, that changes everything. Because now the question isn't, can Diddy be silenced? It's, can they stop the truth if it's already out there? And that's exactly when the media narrative started shifting. Suddenly, there were new stories about Diddy's mental state. Articles suggesting he was unstable, paranoid, hallucinating. Convenient, right? If you discredit the man, then even if something leaks, no one believes it came from him. It's a classic play. Destroy the messenger before the message gets out. But while all this is happening, Diddy's trying to hold on to one last hope, that Trump pardon. He still believes that somehow, someway, Trump will see value in helping him. Maybe it's loyalty from back in the day. Maybe it's politics. Maybe it's just optics. But people close to both sides say that while Trump hasn't said yes, he also hasn't said no. It's like they're keeping him on a leash, dangling that hope just far enough that he won't break. And honestly, it's working. Insiders say Diddy's mental state is hanging by a thread. One day he's confident, talking about his comeback, and the next he's breaking down, saying he's surrounded by ghosts. His calls are monitored, his mails filtered, and every conversation feels like it's being listened to. He's paranoid, and maybe for once with good reason. Because here's the truth. If Diddy starts talking, he's not just exposing celebrities. He's exposing a network. Deals, favors, parties, transactions, all the little threads that connect money and influence across Hollywood, politics, and media. And that's the kind of truth that doesn't stay on YouTube. That's the kind that sparks investigations. Now, here's where it gets eerie. Some of Diddy's old collaborators have started doing interviews. Carefully worded, vague conversations about dark times and toxic environments. They don't say names, but they don't have to. Everyone knows who they're referring to. It's like the industry is slowly rewriting history, painting Diddy as a villain they've all escaped from. It's damage control on a grand scale. Every network, every PR firm, every record exec trying to protect themselves before whatever's in those files hits daylight. And through all of this, Trump's silence grows louder. Some sources claim that Trump's people have instructed intermediaries to let Diddy sweat. That means no promises, no updates, no visits. Just quiet pressure. Because they know desperation breeds compliance. So while Diddy's holding on to hope, the truth might be that the pardon he's dreaming of isn't a rescue. It's a trap. A deal that ensures his silence, maybe forever. Think about it. If Trump does grant him that pardon, he owes them everything. He can't speak out, can't release anything, can't even breathe without their permission. It's not freedom, it's control disguised as mercy. And that's what makes this chapter of Diddy's story so chilling. It's not just a man losing his empire. It's a man realizing that the same power he once used to dominate others is now being used against him. So as we move into part 5, we're left with one question that defines this entire saga. If Diddy really has the secrets to take down an empire, will he use them before that empire makes sure he never can? Because the next part isn't about survival anymore. It's about legacy, revenge, and the final decision that could change the entertainment world forever. Here we are, y'all, the final act in this wild saga. Everything Diddy once built, every lie he told, every dollar he flexed, it's all come down to this moment. The empire is gone, the friends have vanished, and the only thing left between Diddy and complete destruction is a phone call that might never come. A pardon. A single golden word that could flip his fate overnight, or bury him deeper than he's ever been. See, the thing about Diddy is he's always been a man who believed he could talk or buy his way out of anything. He thought charm and connections could fix every problem. But this is different. Because this time, he's dealing with someone who plays the game just as dirty, just as power-hungry, but way smarter. And that's Donald Trump. Trump doesn't forgive out of kindness. He forgives out of leverage. Every move has a price. Every favor has a purpose. So while Diddy sits there thinking a pardon is a second chance, Trump's team sees it as an investment. A way to own a man who's already lost everything. Now sources inside the circle are saying that negotiations, if you can call them that, haven't stopped. They've just changed tone. At first, it was about cash, liquid assets, quick payments. Now it's about loyalty. Trump's people allegedly want something more valuable than money: influence. The same influence Diddy once bragged about having. Remember that vote or die era? The rallies, the speeches, the connections with young voters and hip-hop culture? That's what Trump's side wants to resurrect, but this time under their message. They want Diddy to publicly shift, to symbolically become the example. A redemption arc that screams, even the biggest fall can find light under Trump. It's wild, but it makes sense. Politics runs on imagery, and who better to use than a once powerful black entertainment mogul now begging for a break? It's the perfect visual, and Diddy knows it. That's why insiders say he's torn between pride and desperation. Because accepting that deal means he's not just giving Trump control, he's giving up what's left of his identity. Meanwhile, in MDC, life has become a mirror of his downfall. Gone are the designer suits, the private jets, the entourage. Now it's just a cell for walls and endless time to think. He's not used to silence, and that's what's driving him insane. Every sound, the clink of the bars, the echo of footsteps, it's like a reminder of everything he lost. The man who once demanded loyalty now has no one willing to pick up his calls. And yet, in that isolation, something's changing. People close to him, those few still willing to talk, say Diddy's been reflecting, maybe even planning. Some say he's been writing. Not letters, not music, but confessions. Truths he swore he'd never tell. They say he's preparing for the possibility that if he can't buy freedom, he'll create it another way. Through exposure. Imagine it. A tell-all from the man who knows every dirty deal, every silent handshake, every cover-up from decades inside the industry. The kind of book or leak that could destroy more than careers, it could topple legacies. But that's what makes this final act so dangerous. Because if those files or those words ever make it out, there's no going back. Diddy would be burning every bridge that ever held him up. Now people online are split. Half believe he's bluffing, that this is all desperation and ego talking. The other half, they think he's dead serious, that he's got nothing left to lose, and if the world turned on him, he's ready to turn on the world. And just when the noise reaches its peak, another twist hits. Reports that Trump's inner circle has started leaking their own spin. Articles quietly suggesting that Diddy might not qualify for a pardon because of ongoing investigations. But insiders know the truth. That's leverage. It's the White House's way of saying, we can take this offer away at any moment. That's when Diddy realizes he's not negotiating anymore. He's being toyed with. They don't want him free. They want him scared, quiet, dependent. And for a man who's built his life on control, that's the ultimate punishment. But here's where the story turns from political thriller to psychological warfare. Late one night, a rumor spreads online. A mysterious message posted under an anonymous account that claims to have copies of Diddy's vault. It includes encrypted timestamps, private images, names, and coded text. The post is deleted within minutes, but screenshots spread like wildfire. Suddenly, Diddy's story is back in headlines and everyone's asking, did he leak it himself? If he did, it's genius. Because that one move changes everything. Now, he's not just a fallen mogul begging for mercy. He's a man who still has power, even from behind bars. The kind of power that says, you can silence me, but you can't silence the truth. Trump's team reportedly panics. The timing couldn't be worse. Election pressure, media attention. The last thing they need is a viral story about a famous ex-billionaire exposing deals. So what happens next?